2, 2024, and the number 2, I really like it. So welcome to Numbers with Jacari. I'm your host, Jacari, but you already know, call me Ace, and in this episode, we're talking about the number 2 in 2024. It's a universal 8 year, and the numbers 2 and 8 reflect each other. Reflections are two numbers that sit on opposite sides of the same vibration, so that causes a level of internalization. So it's going to be a very interesting year for number 2. So if you have a psychic 2, meaning you're born on the 2nd, the 11th, the 20th, or the 29th, or you even have a 2 in your number someplace else in that destiny or name, or you're in a personal 2 year, I recommend you listening to this one and also all the other episodes, because you might have some of those other numbers supplementarily. I will say that if you're born anywhere from the 21st to the, also the 28th, anywhere between there, and if any of the 20s, I would also recommend checking this episode out, because you do have that supplementary 2 in regards to your psychic number. So if you're liking what you're hearing, make sure you share it on your socials and tag me at Numbers with Jacari on Instagram or TikTok. All the direct links are in the description of this episode. I do have services available, as well as number guides to help you learn stuff. So many cool things. But I just want to go ahead and get into this because I'm so excited to talk about this. Now, again, I will say, if you got any of the other numbers, go listen to the other numbers, because they're all relevant. Not just your psychic, not just your destiny, not just your name, not just your personal year. Every number is very relevant for you. And also all of these numbers highlights themes. For example, the number 2 highlights community. I always stumble over that. I don't know what that is. It highlights community, connection, support, security, desire, love, nurturance, care. But there's also a level of manipulation and coercion in there. That's a little bit more of that darker side of the number 2. But I would strongly recommend listening to the number 9 episode in regards to the number 9 in the year of 2024, because there's some similarities of the themes that you will experience. So I'm not only talking about it in this episode, but there's also some other things that are going on for the number 9 that you as a number 2 might feel a little bit of a connection with. So I go ahead and say check that out. There's also themes of obsession with the number 2, as well as addiction, jealousy, boundaries, deception, inconsistency, so other 2 themes. So that's things that are going to be very highlighted for the number 2 with that reflection between 2 and 8. Now there's also a depth and a vulnerability that 2 and 8 bring to the table when they're in that reflection. So there's a lot of themes around that as well. So this brings an attention to self-sufficiency, autonomy, emotions, passions, creativity, understanding of self, transformation, depth, like I said, and depth in regards to like love and a relationship and honesty and anger and frustration and just emotions and deep emotional work. There's so many themes for 2 that are very intense for this year, considering the relationality that 2 has with 8. So it's gonna feel a little bit intense. So there's going to be a emphasis not only around those themes, but there's also going to be a little bit of experience around spirituality and themes around witchcraft. So whatever you feel about witchcraft is whatever you feel about witchcraft, but spell work, because everything, when we think also about energy work, that it depends on what you deem as witchcraft. So I'd recommend researching that and getting into understanding what that means for you and how that resonates for you, because spirituality and spiritual things, which witchcraft is one of them, and also the occult, the esoteric, so many other themes are brought into that number 2 for this year. So I would recommend heavily to look into that, because we're having an emphasis for you to deeper understanding. So there's that introspection that's coming up. There's those deep dives that are coming up as well. So just being able to take the time to look within and also look externally to some extent to sort of kind of get a little bit of reaffirming. So that's another thing that comes up for the number 2, is looking for guidance in other parties because of the relationality between that 2 and that 8. So I would also bring up, there's a level of sensitivity in here. There's also a level of destruction and also delusion and fantasy and just interesting, mysterious energy for 2 this year. So I'm interesting to see how this all plays out, because there's also an emphasis with people pleasing and personal power, because the number 2 is in this reflection between 2 and 8. One of the clearest ways to see this is the fact that 8 rules over boundaries and can very much be very strict in those boundaries, whereas 2, being more fluid, can sometimes struggle with embracing those boundaries. So the number 2 in this year, that is something that's highlighted, of knowing when you need to pull back, knowing when you need to let people just do their own thing, and not being so on them about, okay, yeah, I need to support you, I need to be here, you need to no, let them go do whatever they're doing. And also, we ain't doing no booty kissing this year. Let it go. It's not for you to take care of. So really trying to build that autonomy this year is a very big thing for the number 2, as well as understanding your own limitations, because you have the number 2 has a tendency to give so freely and, again, fluidly. There's that, oh, I have to, oh, I must, I gotta, oh, you need it, well, it's fine, baby. It's not. And accepting that is very crucial. So understanding your limits and where you need to stop and when you need to stop, because if you're pouring from an empty cup, even though the water feels so fluid, it's very important to take that time to pause and be like, do I really actually have something to give right now? And if the answer is no, you just really have to build the strength of saying no. So that brings up also boundaries, and things around overindulgence is another thing that comes up, because you want to give so much and you want to feel good, which everybody should feel good. I'm not discrediting that. Yes, feel good, but also with you wanting to feel good so much, it also puts you in a position where you can be very prone to experience things that aren't so good as well. So there's that duality coming up. But also we have an emphasis around conformity, angst, and frustration. So I want you to really work on being who you are and allowing yourself to, yes, be very loving and very caring and very supportive, but sometimes not everybody deserves that love, that care, and support. And it doesn't mean that you got to be an ass to every single person who doesn't deserve it. It's just like, take your step back, build that boundary, remove yourself, and go on about your life. Because you deserve to live that life of pleasure and bliss and feeling good and emotionality and fluidity, that everything that you are, and creativity is also in there. So I want you to be able to stand in your own power and not let so many other people control that power for you. I think that's a very big theme for you. And like I said, the number 2 rules over communities, connection, security, comforts, needs, relationships, and creativity. So all of these 2 themes are very likely to be very highlighted for you this year in regards to your personal experience in this 2024. So being very mindful of those things, and also the communities and connections that you keep, because you're so genuine. Naturally, the number 2 is very genuine and authentic in how it feels specifically, and puts you in a position where, when it comes to interacting with people and being very intimate with people in all types of ways, you can be taken advantage of. So I really, really, really want you to put an emphasis on your boundaries and taking that time to feel good within yourself. That's a very good thing. So learn what it means to value you without being so reliant on others, of not looking for too much outside gratification, being able to listen to people getting that affirmation from people, but also being able to give that affirmation to yourself and affirming yourself. I think that is a very, very big theme for you, as well as reassurance and honesty. With that reflection between 2 and 8, there can be a little bit of anxiety. Not even, is it anxiety? It's a form of anxiety, but just like a little bit of hesitance is what I'd probably say is a better word. There's a little bit of hesitance in this year for you. So for looking to people, places, and things that can reassure you and that are honest with you, one of the largest ones being yourself, and also the people around you. So the reassurance and the honesty and that hesitancy you might not only see for you, but you also might see in those communities and those people that you're connected to. And you also have an emphasis on patience and introspection. Again, with that reflection between 2 and 8, it is putting you in a position where you're wanting more depth in your relationships. You want to see more connection and more clarity in those relationships, and a deeper understanding and a deeper sense of comfort in those relationships. So I really encourage you to step into that and really get that introspection in, and also taking your time not only with yourself but the people who you love and care about. Because if you want these relationships in your life, relationships aren't always just we're here. Okay, we're here. We're besties for the resties. no, things change, people grow, things happen. So it's communication is very, very key. And also being able to be honest about where you're at, what you need, and what that person can provide for you where you are, and what you can provide for them. Is also the simplicity of just existing together, of what that looks like. So I encourage you to look into those things. But I would say that the months for you to note this year would be an emphasis on February and March, as well as November and December. Now, according to Vedic numerology, and I do talk about this more in my Intro to Numerology guide of weak and strong periods, the weak periods for you based off Vedic would be December to February. So that's why I put a little bit of an emphasis on those months, because in those weak periods, it's just a depletion of energy where you feel a little bit more fatigue, like a little bit just slower moving, a little more lethargic. Things might not feel like they're going your way as much. Also, depression is in there, mood swings, just your mental state overall is emphasized in that weak period. But your strong period is in the summertime, interestingly enough, based off that Vedic numerology. But I would put an emphasis on March and November being really good months for you outside of that February and December. Now, February is really good. Not only is it the second month of the year, but it's going to be universal 1 month. So I really do like that, because 1 is half of 2. Now, 1 is that solar energy and 2 is that lunar energy. So there's a little bit of polarity in how they work and how they play out. The sun is moving on its consistent scale for like 365 days, 366 days, based off of which calendar system that you're using, but it's moving on that steady path for those 300 plus days. And then you have that lunar calendar working on that 28-29 day pattern. So moving at a steady pace is also a very big thing that will play out for the number 2, and that's probably going to be very highlighted in February and March, and that is because of how 2 behaves. So not only is patience, but just consistency and just moving at a steady pace, and not necessarily rushing the process, just taking your time to move the way that you're moving. Because the thing I love to say about the number 2 is that it was not meant for this world in regards to the energy that it carries. It's so pure, it's so genuine, it can be very gentle and very caring, and other numbers can sometimes struggle to embody that in regards to its natural energy. But when you bring into a psychological impact, when you see these numbers personified, you can see that emotionality of that 2. But that pure 2 energy is very otherworldly in regards to how other numbers behave. So moving on to March, you have that 2 energy, and this is where I would say that because it's a universal 2 month and you're a 2, or you have the number 2 very highlighted for you this year, it would put an emphasis on those things. It would sort of kind of say that, oh, we're happy at home. But now I will say that March is the 3rd month of the year, and there is a relationality. Ooh, baby, slow down. There is a relationality between 2 and 3 that can be very interesting, I will say, for one, and it can also be very expansive of 2 themes. So there's the bigger emotions, bigger communities, bigger celebrations, bigger support systems are things that can come up for the number 2 in the month of March. But we also have May, July, August, and September being a little bit in there of relevance, but moving to November and December. November being that universal 1 month, and then December being that universal 2 month. That brings, again, a similar energy of February and March. So overall, I'm excited to see how this year will play out for you, number 2, because it's a reflection that 2 and 8 has a very strong, intense energy. So I really want you to step into your personal power bag, take up the space that you want to take up, be honest with yourself about your needs. Be honest with yourself about your needs, please. If you need a break, take a break. Take a break. If you need a nap, take a nap. And work around being able to build the life that you want for yourself in the way that society is currently structured. Be able to work what you need to work, and also change what you need to change to get the life that you deserve. But I do hope you enjoyed this, and send this to somebody who has a number 2 dominant in their numbers and you think would benefit from hearing something like this. Also, just share it with somebody who you think would enjoy talking about numbers. But overall, thank you so much for listening. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Jacari, and also book your services. If you have a number 2 dominant in your numbers, or any other number, and you want to just learn more and understand more, and you don't want to check out the guides, or you already got the guides but you want more, book your consultation with me, babe. They're open. My books are open. Come this way. Come on. Shimmy on over here. We'll chat. We'll chop it up. We'll kiki, and we'll see what shakes. But regardless, I love you to bits. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.